Max Verstappen is a name that has become synonymous with speed, skill, and sometimes spectacular crashes in Formula One. The Dutch driver made his debut at the tender age of 17 and has been making headlines ever since. Known for his aggressive driving style and a never-say-die attitude, Verstappen has been involved in several high-profile incidents on the track, often pushing the boundaries of what is deemed accessible by his rivals and critics. Here are 8 times Max Verstappen crashed with his rivals in Formula One. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Baku had all the makings of a classic race, with the top drivers battling it out for supremacy on the challenging street circuit. However, things took a dramatic turn on the 40th lap when Red Bull teammates Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen collided with each other, resulting in both drivers retiring from the race. It was a disastrous outcome for Red Bull Racing, who had been hoping for a podium finish, if not a win. The incident occurred after Verstappen had moved ahead of Ricciardo during a tyre change pit stop. Ricciardo was determined to regain his position and started to put pressure on his teammate. Verstappen, known for his aggressive driving style, tried to defend his position, but things quickly got out of hand. Ricciardo failed to brake in time and ended up crashing into Verstappen, pushing him off the track along with his own car. The collision was so severe that it called for the intervention of the safety car, which bunched up the drivers for almost 7 laps, leading to a delay in the race. To make matters worse, there was another incident involving Romain Grosjean during the safety car period, adding to the chaos. The FIA officially reprimanded both drivers for the crash, highlighting the dangers of such incidents on the track. Red Bull Racing team boss Christian Horner was particularly unhappy with the situation and called it an unacceptable act. He had already informed both drivers via team radio to give each other room, but the teammates continued to battle it out in an intense, fraught race-long duel that ended in an unnecessary collision. This incident bears a striking resemblance to the crash that occurred during the 2010 Turkish Grand Prix, where Red Bull's then teammates Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel collided, forcing Vettel to retire with a tyre puncture, while Webber managed a third-place finish. While both incidents were unfortunate, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix collision was a stark reminder of the risks involved in high-speed racing and the need for drivers to exercise caution and respect for their competitors on the track. The Monaco Grand Prix is known for its glamour and prestige, but the 2015 edition of the race will be remembered for a different reason. For the first time in F1 history, a virtual safety car was used after Toro Rosso driver Max Verstappen collided with Romain Grosjean's Lotus, leading to a spectacular crash. Verstappen was in the process of overtaking Grosjean on lap 59 when he clipped the rear of the Lotus at the Saint-Devote corner. The Dutchman was carrying too much speed and ended up crashing nose first into the barriers, with the impact generating a massive G-force. Both drivers were quick to play the blame game, with Verstappen suggesting that Grosjean had braked earlier than necessary, leaving him with no options. On the other hand, Grosjean complained that Verstappen was not aware of the braking point and that overtaking at Monaco was always going to be a challenge. The stewards felt that Verstappen was at fault for the collision, and he was given a 5-place grid penalty for the following race in Canada, and he was also handed 2 penalty points on his license. The Belgian Grand Prix in 2016 saw Max Verstappen involved in yet another collision, this time with both Ferraris of Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel. The incident occurred at the right turn before Eau Rouge Stream when Raikkonen attempted to overtake Verstappen, pushing him inside of the corner. Meanwhile, Vettel was trying to turn in on both of them, further squeezing Verstappen into the corner and causing damage to his front wing. Verstappen had started the race from the 2nd position on the grid, but the damage caused him to finish 11th. The aftermath of the crash was intense, with Raikkonen expressing his frustration with Verstappen's driving and stating that maybe it needs an accident before it makes it more clear to everybody. Vettel was less critical of Verstappen's actions, feeling that the young driver was not given enough room to make the corner. Despite this, Verstappen lashed out at the Ferrari drivers, saying that they should be ashamed of their conduct. Raikkonen was caught on the team radio, furious at Verstappen's move, which forced him to apply brakes from full throttle to avoid a more significant accident. The 2017 Austrian Grand Prix started off with a bang as the drivers rushed towards the first turn of the race. Max Verstappen in his Red Bull took a wide turn, leaving some space for other drivers to make their move. However, Fernando Alonso in his McLaren, who was already forced into a spin by the Toro Rosso of Daniel Kvyat, collided with Verstappen's rear, causing both drivers to crash out of the race. Kvyat, who had overtaken his teammate Carlos Sainz off the start, was a bit too late to hit the brakes and ended up slamming into Alonso from behind. The impact caused Alonso's car to lose control and hit Verstappen, who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The incident left Verstappen with a DNF, and he later revealed that a clutch problem had contributed to his early exit. On the other hand, Alonso's early retirement marked his 7th non-finish of the season. Race officials handled Daniel Kvyat a drive-through penalty for triggering the crash, which caused 2 drivers to retire from the race prematurely. The incident was a huge disappointment for Verstappen, who was hoping to perform well in front of his home crowd. However, he would bounce back in the following races, showing the resilience that has become his trademark. The 2021 British Grand Prix at Silverstone saw one of the most controversial incidents of the season. The incident occurred on the very first lap of the race, as the two championship contenders Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton collided at high speed at Copse Corner. The impact was so violent that Verstappen's Red Bull car was sent spinning into the barriers, causing significant damage and bringing out the red flag. The incident started when Hamilton made a slightly better start than Verstappen from the pole position. Hamilton tried to overtake Verstappen multiple times, but the Dutchman managed to hold his ground until they reached the 9th corner. Approaching the Copse Corner, Hamilton came out of left field behind Verstappen and tried to pass him on the inside. Verstappen, who was already covering the inside line, moved left and back towards the racing line, while Hamilton also moved slightly towards the racing line. As they entered the corner, Verstappen turned in towards the apex, and Hamilton, who was still on the inside, had his front left wheel make contact with Verstappen's right rear wheel. The collision caused Verstappen's car to spin off the track and into the barriers, while Hamilton was able to continue. The incident was immediately reviewed by the stewards, who handed Hamilton a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision. The crash sparked a heated debate between the two teams and their fans, with Red Bull team principal Christian Horner accusing Hamilton of being dangerous and desperate. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff defended Hamilton, saying that the move was totally in line with the regulations and that Verstappen had left Hamilton with no room for negotiation. Despite the penalty, Hamilton was able to recover and win the race, reducing Verstappen's championship lead to just 8 points. The incident also reignited the rivalry between the two drivers and their teams, setting the stage for a tense battle for the championship in the remainder of the season. The 2021 Italian Grand Prix at Monza saw the highly anticipated rematch between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton after their controversial clash at the British Grand Prix. The two drivers were locked in a fierce battle for the lead when the incident occurred, with Verstappen attempting to pass Hamilton around the outside of Turn 1. As they approached Turn 2, Verstappen's Red Bull rode over the high curbs and was launched into the air, colliding with the back of Hamilton's Mercedes. The impact was so severe that Verstappen's car was left perched on top of Hamilton's, with both cars coming to a stop in the gravel. Verstappen immediately climbed out of his car and walked away from the scene, while Hamilton remained in his cockpit for a few seconds before emerging unscathed but visibly shaken. The Halo cockpit protection device had once again proven its worth, as Verstappen's right wheel had rolled over the roll hoop and landed on Hamilton's head, but was diverted enough to prevent a potentially life-threatening impact. Hamilton blamed Verstappen. He said he knew what was going to happen. He knew he was going over the curbs, went into Turn 1 ahead and ahead in Turn 2, then all of a sudden he was on top of me. The Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff described it as a calculated move by Verstappen to prevent Hamilton from winning and warned that worse may follow. He said, "I would say it was a tactical foul. He probably knew that if Lewis stays ahead, that's the race win. It was clear for Max that it would end in a crash." Hamilton remained in the car before emerging unscathed, but bruised, and acknowledged the halo had saved his life. Hamilton said, "I'm a little bit stiff and sore on my neck because it landed on my neck, but I'll be okay." There you have it. Times Max Verstappen crashed with his rivals. The Dutch driver has matured in how he drives over the years.